Windows Server 2019 System Administration. Welcome back everybody. I'm Prakash Pradhan, your trainer for this entire series. In today's session, we are going to talk about one of the important features that we find in almost in every operating system or even our routers and switches. That's a telnet. So telnet is command line tool utility actually. It is used to manage the servers, used to manage the routers and switches via command line tool. That means command utility tool. Normally when we talk about managing any servers, routers or switches, there are two ways. Okay, that means to say there are two methods through which you can access over those devices, even including the server operating system. Number one, it can be your access over the GUI, that means with the help of graphical user interface. But we do have another one option to take any device, any server remotely using the character user interface as well. So for that, we are going to talk about today the telnet. So telnet uses the port number 23. So when we talk about the telnet, it's simple, a terminal emulation program actually. It is simply used to have access over your servers remotely, okay, using the command line tool as if you are physically present in that server in order to administer, in order to manage or do any kind of work in that server or in those type of devices as if physically you are present. See, all the time it may not be possible for every administrator, or someone might be asking for you to get a remote support. So in that case, we can also have CUI based interface, okay, to manage your any devices from one corner of the world to the another corner of the world, from one source to the another destination place, any servers, and that device or the server can be managed remotely also. So that is the best way for this telnet. So this telnet, it can be used in client operating system as well, and also in your server family operating system. So after having a telnet session established in your server from one source to the destinations, what are the tasks that can be performed? So what are the possible services that can be used in that operating system? These are the few listed. Okay, these are the few lists that I have listed over here. I mean to say that. So the basic service or the services that can be performed using the telnet. Number one, when you have access to any device using the telnet service, user can run programs, they can run any commands, and apart from that, after taking your control to any device, it's not only the server, it can be your routers and switches also, but basically today we're going to focus on the creating files and folders via your telnet service as well. So when the telnet session is established from the source to the destination, after getting full access to that telnet session, user can have almost full right, that can be creating any file, running any program. You can also create a folders, okay, that can be called or term some sort of your directories. And don't forget, if a user can have access over that device in order to create files or folders, that user also can have permission to delete the same. So you need to be careful. And apart from that, in a telnet session, we can also transfer the files and folders. We can browse all the directories, and don't forget, we also can start and stop any type of services that we have in that telnet session. Apart from that, practically speaking, telnet service is basically, it's not used almost only for doing this kind of work. Telnet is basically, or most importantly, used for all these works. That means telnet is normally used for managing a routers, managing the switches, or even the servers, because as I already mentioned that in order to manage a device from one part of the world to the next corner of the world, physically you may not be present. So in that case, if the telnet is enabled in your server, in your router, in your switches, in that case you can have complete control over those devices virtually with the help of telnet, so that physically you are present in that device and you can run all the commands that you are supposed to run in order to perform any kind of task they are asked for. So the next question comes, is the telnet secure? But don't forget, plain telnet simply sends everything over the clear text. That means there is no encryption. So normally telnet is used in local area networking in order to get access over your server, routers, or anything. Okay, but if you talk about using a telnet over long distance, that means to say over the cloud. And when we talk about accessing a telnet over the cloud, it has to be secure. That means encryption has to be there. Public key and private key concept has to be there. So in that case, we are using SSH. Secure Shell is the modern alternative of telnet. Why I'm saying alternative? Previously, the telnet that we were using, okay, the telnet we were using, that was not encrypted actually. That was everything was sent over the plain text. So if you want to secure all those things, in that case you should be able to use the SSH so that your communication is done in secure way. That means it is encrypted. So if the telnet is used along with the SSH, it will definitely help you to encrypt your data. It's written data over here. It's a data, or entire transfer or entire this communication can be done in a secure manner, failing which, okay, there will be risks of your threat. In that case, your data can be hacked by someone else. So you need to make sure telnet can be used easily for your internal network. And when you talk about using the secure telnet communication, there must be SSH. That means the certificate has to be there. That provides you the secure socket. Okay, that means the secure way of this communication using the secure your shell. So now this SSH does everything that telnet does, but only one thing, it's more secure. Why? It's using the encryption mechanism. And when we talk about the encryption, so definitely there is a certificate. Now we are going to see how to install this telnet feature and how to access your device, or how to get access over your server or even the client operating system. It can be anything. It's not only for the Windows Server 2019. It can be from Windows 7, 8, 10, anything you want. So I'm going to show you how to install this telnet and how to get access over the telnet. And as I said, after your session is established with the help of telnet, user can perform any kind of task as if physically you are there. So I would like to take you to my this client operating system, where I would like to install your telnet client and server both. And from the Windows Server 2019, I'm trying to get access over this telnet server. So in order to install the telnet server, first you have to go to the control panel and just turn on the feature, because by default telnet is disabled. So if you like to see whether the telnet is disabled by default or not, I would like to take you to services. Let's go to the services.msc and you'll see that there shouldn't be telnet. Is there? There is no telnet. Why? It's not installed. It's not enabled at all. So we are going to add this feature. Okay, first. So let's add it. Let's go to the turn on or off Windows feature. It's a feature, it's not a role. Even see, we'll have to install this feature in Server 19 also, because we're using this Windows 7 as a server and 19 I'm using as a client. Okay, just to show you how it works. So let's go to telnet client and I would like to install the server both. It takes few seconds. So by the time, I would like to take you to the Windows Server 2019 as well. Okay, now let me log in 19. This is my server. If you remember, this is the server we are using throughout our session. Now, if I go to services again over here in server 2019 also, you'll see that there is no telnet, because the telnet, even the client is not installed over here. For the security reason, telnet is by default disabled even in the server family operating system, not only in the client family operating system. So you'll notice over here also that client version of your telnet is not installed actually. So let it open the console. It's taking a time. By the time, let's go to client, okay, and see it's done or not. So it's done. Now, if I take you to the services.msc, that means service management console. So let's see over here. If I go to telnet, see it's here. Okay, and by default it's disabled. Even if you install it, after the installation also, it is disabled actually. Okay, so if I take you to the server and see, there is no telnet. Actually, it will not get listed over here because we are going to install only the telnet client. So in order to install the telnet client to the source machine, okay, so let's go to manage and add roles, and don't forget telnet is not role, it's a feature. So if you search it in a role, you'll be keep on searching, it's not this. Now let's scroll it down a bit, scroll it down, then we'll be finding telnet client. It's over here. Next and finish. It's installed. Now did it install? Now telnet client and server both is installed over here in our client operating system, and the server we are using as a client, this is used as a server. Okay, it's the same thing. Now double click this one. By default it is disabled. Okay, let's go to automatic and select over here apply. Until and unless you select apply, the start button is not going to be activated. Okay, now we are going to start it. It shouldn't show any error. Congratulations, successfully it's done. Now after this, okay, after this, what you have to do, okay, let's go to your properties of this computer. Okay, let's go. You see remote setting, okay, and it should be enabled. Allow remote assistance connections to this computer and allow this one. Of course, we are not going to talk about the security, okay, secure one. So I'm going to do okay. I'm not going to select any users over here. Let it go as it is. Okay, now that means by default it will take as an administrator. Now this is done from the server side. Now as we have installed, okay, this Telnet client in the server, okay, now here it is already installed. Now if I go to command prompt, and now I'm going to show you how to access your Telnet. So let's try to ping it first. 55 is that client machine IP address. See, it's responding. Okay, so let me make sure. Okay, I'd like to make it sure also that it is the same IP address. Okay, so let's go to your client where this your Telnet server role is installed actually, and let's see the IP address. This is 55. It's done. And if I show you the host name, it's my habit. I go to the root all the time. So let's say host name. It's a Prakash-PC. So when your Telnet session is established with this computer, the host name should get displayed this, not the server from where I'm going to access. That means this is my server. If I have to show you my host name, okay, let's say my host name is DC. Okay, now from here I'm going to access with the Telnet. Okay, that's a command line tool. So let's write Telnet, and you will have to write the destination, your IP address. If you will remember, through this IP we had currently pinged and it was successfully replied. Now it will try to establish the session, and it should give you the information as well that you are going over your network using a Telnet that might not be secure also. See, it's saying the same thing because I told you it sends the information over the clear text. So it's saying that you are about to send your password information to a remote computer in an internet zone. Okay, it will act as if we are going to the cloud, but I'm using this in a local area network. As I told you, if you remember, I told you clearly that Telnet we are going to use only in a local area network. If you think of using this Telnet over the cloud, that should be SSH secure shell. Otherwise your information can be leaked by any third-party software over the cloud. And by this time I do believe that everybody knows there are so many softwares are there over the cloud who always try to enter in someone else's privacy, okay, to steal the data. So that's why be careful that you don't use this over the cloud. So this might not be safe. It's saying that, and it's asking, are you sure? Obviously we're in the lab environment. I'm going to say yes. Now I have already entered, see, Microsoft Telnet server. Now if I show my host name, see, my host name is Prakash. If I open the command prompt again and I write over here host name, this is my host name. See, this is my Telnet session and this is my internal session actually. So as I also told you that using this Telnet you can also create the files and folders, directories you might be able to install, disable any kind of services. So let's try of creating one file at least. Otherwise let's create one directory. Okay, let's say testing I'm going to write, and inside this I'm going to create one file as well. Okay, let's say test. So I'm going to save it. It's done. Okay, now this one is created in my Telnet server. So as a Telnet server, I've used this device. Now if I go to my computer over here in a C drive, you should find that directory is created. See, testing, and the file tst is also created. Now if I go to the same device, that means in a remote, okay, now if I hit a command to delete this file, it will get deleted. That's why I told you it will have complete control now. Let's say tst, it's done. Now if I go to my Telnet server that I have used as this operating system, see, file is gone now. Okay, see, again I would like to repeat that Telnet is a good feature of this operating system, and the telnet is not limited only with the Microsoft operating system. It might be with any Cisco this router, any switches, any devices, okay, any other operating the system as well. But what you need to know is that telnet without SSH might not be secure. But if you are trying to manage your device in your internal network area, in that case telnet will have no issues to you. So I think it was easy, it was in a clear text. So if you find it fruitful, if this added something to your knowledge, please do like and subscribe. Thank you.